Top of the morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Welcome to the channel. Glad to have you here today. We're going to be doing something a little bit different today. This is going to be strictly audio with some visual on the screen for you. And this is just another one of the experiments, one of many, but I think it's important sometimes to be able to see visuals such as this when we're working through topics like this. So Bitcoin security, definitely not the most exciting topic, but to me, it's the most important topic. Because yes, the innovation, the technology, the demand, and the capabilities of Bitcoin is exciting. It's exciting to me beyond words. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the proper security measures in place to protect that Bitcoin, then nothing else really matters. And so it's important to figure out where you're at, what your needs are, and what your goals are. Because just like how Bitcoin means so many different things to so many different people, Bitcoin security is the exact same. There is not one size that fits all, and it's different for every person. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to be sharing this Bitcoin security hierarchy chart, starting at the bottom with exchanges, moving our way up all the way to the top of Multisignature being the most secure. And so the purpose of this is to analyze the different options that are available, see which one makes the most sense for your current situation, your lifestyle, your amount of Bitcoin, and how that amount relates to your overall portfolio of investments. And once you have that in place, once you figure out, should you have a hot wallet? Is that okay? Should you maybe take it to the next step and get a Coldcard? Do you have a ton of Bitcoin and it's currently all sitting in the same place with one single point of failure? Or if you're an organization or a company who's holding Bitcoin on the balance sheet, maybe you could consider the multi-signature stuff. But without knowing the options and what's out there, then it's impossible to figure out what's best for you. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And we're going to get things started here with the exchanges. And I think the majority of people who have Bitcoin, who own some Bitcoin, actually keep it on the exchanges. So the exchanges are Binance, Shakepay, Muun, Coinberry. Those are all exchanges. So you upload some of your Canadian dollars or American dollars or wherever you're listening from. You deposit some of your fiat, your dollars, into these exchanges, and you can instantly convert that into Bitcoin. And this is where most people let it reside. The problem is that we've seen so many people get, you know the word, rugged. So when an exchange goes down, which we've seen in the FTX, and what was the other one? Celsius. When the exchanges go down, the thing about these exchanges is that they take your money, no problem. They tell you that you have some Bitcoin on there. But do you actually own it? Or are they just using your money that you gave them to gamble, put it into more risky investments, earn a return on that, all while you're thinking that you have Bitcoin? But the reality is that until you get your Bitcoin off of these exchanges, it does not belong to you. So that is the lowest level of this triangle. Bottom layer is the exchanges. You technically have Bitcoin, but you don't really own the Bitcoin until you get it off of the exchanges. So if you're one of those people who has their Bitcoin on an exchange, and if you have a to-do list, put this as number one: take Bitcoin off of exchanges. And what we're going to get into in the next 4 stages of security is you're going to remove it from the exchanges and transfer it into one of the wallets that I'm about to talk about. So that's the first priority. If that's all you do, if that's all you learn from this podcast, I would say that's a huge success. You don't want to be somebody who had Bitcoin at FTX, who thought they had Bitcoin on FTX and then watched it all vanish as scam bankrupt fraud took off to the Bahamas. Where is that guy, by the way? Lots of shady shit going on there. Lots in the world. And it's sad because it really gives the world of, they call it cryptocurrency. Bitcoin technically is a cryptocurrency, but Bitcoin's so much different than the rest of the cryptocurrencies. But it does such damage reputation-wise to the industry, and it's not fair. But one day it'll change. And it has changed. It's changing more and more every day. And podcasts like this are hopefully playing a part of that. That is the mission here. Make sure that whatever Bitcoin you have is safe. So the second part of this is once you remove your Bitcoin off of the exchange, the second layer here is called a hot wallet. So a hot wallet basically means that it's hot, it's connected to the internet. And there's a ton of different wallets that you can use. Think of this as it's just an application on your phone. So there's the Muun wallet, which is my number one pick. That's MUUN wallet. You can search that in the App Store. And there's the Exodus wallet as well. I love that one. EXODUS. The nice thing about Muun is that it's Bitcoin only. So there's a inherent layer of security there, I guess, that they're focused strictly on Bitcoin. They don't deal with any of the other bullshit. And so I like that about Muun. You can also create Lightning invoices on there and do a few other cool things. I have done a couple videos on the YouTube channel for information on the Muun wallet and the Exodus wallet, but that's a good place to start. So what you're going to do is you're basically just going to go to the App Store. You're going to download one of those wallets, Exodus or Muun. Exodus, you can store other cryptos on there. If you have Litecoin, if you have Doge, if you have Theta, you can use Exodus. And also, if you want to transfer your crypto to Exodus, Exodus also has an exchange built in it. So you can swap whatever shit coins. I don't like using that word, but it's what they are. There's a few good projects that I like, but the majority of them are just straight up Ponzi's. But you can go to Exodus, you can swap your shitcoin for Bitcoin and then move it to Muun or leave it in Exodus. But that's the nice thing about Exodus is that it has other capabilities for that and storing cryptos on there. So what you're going to do is you're going to download one of those apps. You're going to open it up. You're going to write down the private key that they give you. And then you're going to just click receive. You copy that receive address. And then you go to whatever exchange you're holding your Bitcoin on, and then you paste that into there as a withdrawal, and then that gets sent to your wallet. And if you want to take some extra precaution there, you can just send a small amount over first. So for example, if you have $1,000 worth of Bitcoin on your Shakepay, you can just send like $10 over to your Muun just to make sure that you're doing the process right. And that when the funds show up, then you just repeat that process with the other $990. So that's a good way to do it. That's hot wallets. They're obviously connected to your phone. They're always connected to the internet. So there is a higher risk of somebody hacking it. But the nice thing is that they're very simple. And the majority of people that actually lose their Bitcoin lose it themselves. It's not that they get hacked. They just overcomplicate the process and lose their Bitcoin. And so that's why, if you only have, say, $1,000 or less, a hot wallet like Muun is probably ideal for you. But then once you get, into the $2,000, $5,000 stage, that's going to be levels 3 and 4 here. So this is cold storage. So cold storage means that it's kept offline, not connected to the internet. And so the third level of this security is cold storage using a device like Ledger or Trezor. And the first thing before we go any further with this is the most important thing you can do with the Ledger or a Trezor is that you order it directly from the website. Do not buy it on Amazon. Do not buy it from your local Walmart. Do not buy it on a local classifieds on Facebook Marketplace. If you're going to mess around with one of these devices, get it directly from the source, because somebody could intercept it or somebody in between could, do some behind the scenes work there and rig it up so that as soon as you transfer Bitcoin there, they're also going to have access to it. So get it directly from the manufacturer. Trezor.io. I have a Trezor and I've had it for a couple of years now. I paid about $400 or $500 Canadian for it. And it works pretty good. You can just hook it up to your laptop. You can plug it in. You can go onto their desktop version via the internet, and it's pretty easy to navigate. If you have some experience moving crypto or Bitcoin around, you should be able to figure it out. The main issue I have with the Ledger and the Trezor, the main issue I have is that they connect to your laptop. And if you're using a laptop for everyday use, you're probably visiting sites like Amazon, Facebook, Gmail, sites that track you. They can track your keystrokes. They can track all that kind of stuff. It happens. It's not my opinion here. It happens. Or adult websites. I don't know who's watching this, what gender, one of the two genders. I don't know who's listening to this, but If you've been to an adult website using your laptop and you're plugging your Bitcoin into that, that's a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. So that's why I would steer clear of the cold storage like a Ledger or a Trezor because they plug directly into your assumably corrupted laptop. Unless you have a brand new laptop that's never been used before, never visited any email sites or sites that track you, then I would honestly avoid that. Because the next step here, what I'm going to be talking about is a similar device, but it does not connect to the internet. So that's the Ledger, the Trezor, pretty good, but come with some trade-offs. And the next part here, the fourth layer of security is going to be a cold card. The cold cards are made in Canada. I've been using one for about 6 months now. And when I initially heard of it, I don't know, it must be a really well-kept secret within the crypto industry, because it is so secure. The nice thing about the cold card and the key differentiator there between the cold card and the Ledger or Trezor is that you don't actually have to plug in the cold card to the internet. It's called air gapping. And so you use a micro SD card to save the transaction on your laptop that's disconnected from the internet. And then you load that into your cold card, you approve the transaction and remove the SD, put it back into your laptop, open the file, and sign the transaction from there. So the cold card is more challenging to navigate for sure. If you're somebody who's new to Bitcoin, I would highly suggest having somebody who has more experience help you with it. But once you do it a couple times, once you understand the process of it, it's, if you think about it from a higher level, without getting into the technical stuff or the different wording for it, it's pretty simple to do. So the cold card, it costs about $200 to get one, plus the accessories you need with it. It comes out to about $300 Canadian, which is pretty damn good. It looks like a little wee calculator. You can actually get a steel plate too to put your private key on. And so you don't have to have it on a piece of paper that could potentially get lost in your recycling or if your house catches on fire. A steel plate will make sure that your private key is safe. And that's always something that you have to consider with this kind of stuff is that what's the worst case scenario and am I ready to handle that? So the cold card with the steel plate, and if done properly, I think that that's pretty much as high as you can go for most people. And even though it's the fourth tier here instead of the fifth, I think that once I explain the next part, you'll understand that the cold card for most people is as high as you need. And if you're interested in this, if you're a Bitcoin holder and you want to, get set up in this secure fashion and sleep better at night, I have a package called the Cold Card Combo, which I'll provide you with the cold card device. I'll provide you with everything you need for it, plus the steel plate. And you'll have 1 or 2 hours with me walking you through it and making sure that you have the process in place. You eliminate your single points of failure and you get the whole package for $500. So it's pretty good. Highly recommend if you got more than 2,000 or 5,000 bucks worth of Bitcoin, I highly recommend the cold card. So you can either leave a message on here, you can send me an email, you can find me somewhere for sure. But the email's silverstonesca@proton.me. So that's a cold card. The highest level of security for most people. And the last part here is the multi-signature. And the multi-signature is quite difficult to explain, so I'm not going to try to do it on here, but it removes the single point of failure completely. And so what I'm going to be doing over the next couple months is that I'm going to be working with a local law firm, and we're going to be helping people get set up with multi-signature. And the best way to think about this is like similar to a board of directors where you have checks. But on a check, if you've ever been on a board before, you have to have 2 signatures on it, 2 out of 3 signatures, for example. And so you can't actually spend money unless you have 2 signatures on there. And so multi-signature is the exact same way, except you use these devices like a cold card or a Ledger or any other wallet, but you need 2 out of 3 signatures for any Bitcoin to move out of that wallet. And so if you're still with me here, The nice thing about this is that with a check, you actually have to physically move that check around from person to person, from board member to board member, have them sign it. But with the multi-signature using these devices, you could have one Coldcard in Canada, you could have one in Australia, you could have one in Taiwan. And as long as you have 2 out of 3 signatures there, the transaction will go through. But the main benefit here is that you're eliminating single point of failure. So if something happened to your Coldcard, say your house burnt down, or somebody broke into your house and stole your Coldcard, they had all your access to it. Without the other 2 signatures, they actually could not do anything with it. And so there's a more in-depth conversation, which I've also done a YouTube video on, about the multi-signature and the main benefits of it and how it can be put into practice for somebody with a lot of Bitcoin, or like an organization or a fund, like our 88 sats experiment. We're going to be using multi-signature because it's a significant amount of Bitcoin, and we're going to eliminate a single point of failure. So not only that it reduces the chance of somebody acting fraudulently, but it also reduces the risk of an accident, like a fire or something like that. So that is the hierarchy of security for Bitcoin. And you can kind of, after listening to this, I'm guessing you'll be able to figure out which one you should have or which level you should be at based on how much Bitcoin you hold. But one thing to keep in mind is that even though you only have $1,000 worth of Bitcoin right now, and that would be, what would that be? 0.01 would be $300. So it would be like 0.03 of a Bitcoin, which is about 3 million sats. That's about $1,000 right now, American. Canadian, less than that. But if you say you have 3 million sats, let's use that instead of dollars. It's only $1,000 today, but say Bitcoin in the next 2 or 3 months, which a lot of people are expecting with the halvening coming up, but say it jumps to be worth $5,000 all of a sudden. And there's a million other people who also have $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, who all of a sudden now have $5,000 worth of Bitcoin. And they're all trying to get these devices to make sure that their Bitcoin's safe. And everybody's trying to fit through the same door at once. So, I'm just saying that even though you think that your Bitcoin might not be valuable enough at this stage to consider getting a Coldcard, you have to consider that it's more forward thinking, long-term thinking here. And you're not really worried about the dollar value, but you're worried about the amount of sats of Bitcoin. So I'm going to leave it there today. It's maybe a little bit longer one, but I think that if you're a Bitcoin holder who's just a little bit unfamiliar with the processes and the options available, I think that this will provide a lot of value for people and a very simple way to understand. And if I'm actually in the process of doing a little document here that I'm going to be sending out to some clients and stuff like that. So if you want a copy of this hierarchy of security and the pros and cons of each, you can send me an email and I'll happily send it over for you. And if you have any other questions, same thing, just reach out. So with that, let's get the heck out of here. Hope you have the best day of your life today. And whatever Bitcoin you're holding, any amount, make sure that it's going to be safe. That's the number one priority here on this channel, and it's Silverstone. And as the saying goes, Bitcoin can protect your wealth, but you have to protect your Bitcoin. Thanks once again to everybody who has been supporting this channel. If you've been getting any sort of value from it, make sure to just simply click the like button. It's as easy as that. If you're a believer in this community, if you're a believer in Bitcoin, and if you're wanting to get the hell out of this debt slavery system that we've been living in our entire lives, let's keep growing this because we have the tools now. We have everything we need. We just have to get more people involved. So let's keep things moving here. Let's keep building. Let's keep growing and see what happens. It's all we can do. One person at a time. One day at a time. And if you haven't yet checked out the interview last week with Steve Langston, sorry, this is the last thing, make sure to check it out. It's got 400 views on YouTube, almost 400 views, which isn't a lot for most, but it's a lot for me. And the feedback I've been getting on it so far is great. People got a ton of value from it. If you're a business owner, if you're interested in real estate, or you just like learning new things and being entertained for an hour, make sure to check that out. It was a really good interview. I'm going to be doing those once a month with somebody from the business, Bitcoin, birdies, or beef industries. I'm going to have an expert on once a month. And then I think the next one coming in April is going to be a ton of fun. So look forward to that. And again, have the best of your life today. Life is short. We're not here very long. So make sure you do something that you love today. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.